Welcome back to episode 2 of Thunder Talk. Today we have our guest Harper Hauk. Welcome Harper.
Thanks for having me on.
Harper is on the swim team here at GCU, and do you want to tell us a little bit about swim and everything, how you got into it?
Yeah, so this is my 5th year on the team.
Nice.
I've been super fortunate to be able to pursue a master's this last year. I graduated last year in the spring, the normal 4 years, and then because of COVID, that was my freshman year. I was lucky to have that 5th year and be able to capitalize it on this year.
Nice.
So,
and then how long have you been swimming for, not just for GCU, but like whole career?
yeah, so that's kind of a hard question because I don't really know.
Yeah.
I think as early as 4 and as late as maybe 6, like that 4 to 6 range. Because I believe last time we talked, I told you my 2 older sisters, they were swimming. Yes. And my parents were already there, like, might as well just throw him in there and see how he does. So I think 4 to 6.
Okay, that's perfect range. It's perfect swim range.
Yeah.
And then what made you pick GCU specifically? Like, did you have, I don't know if we talked about this in like another interview,
Sure.
but did you have offers anywhere else? Or was it pretty like, I'm going to GCU?
Yeah, so I was talking to a handful of schools. I was fortunate to have about 4 to 5 D1 schools that I was looking at. But it came down to GCU and Seton Hall, and it was cool because on paper, everything pointed towards Seton Hall.
Yeah, and where's Seton Hall at? Is that?
It's New Jersey.
It's New Jersey.
It's about 30 minutes from the Big Apple.
Okay,
it's like
gotcha.
Orange County, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah.
But like all the signs and everything made it seem like I was going to Seton Hall, but when I tell you that it was a gut decision, it was something that I felt like, honestly, the Lord was calling me out here to GCU. I didn't know the Lord at the time, but man, his will was strong for me, and he got me out here, and it's been history ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so kind of with that too, I know Super Bold. So a big point of this show that we're doing is highlighting student athletes in more than they're just athletes.
Sure.
So with Destiny, we just did how she is a vice president for SAC, and then how she works in athletics. And so
Absolutely.
I think you're a perfect candidate because, as the viewers may or may not know, Harper is part of Super Bold podcast. And do you want to talk about that a little bit? Who you're on with?
Yeah,
how that started?
Of course. So I get to do it. I'm super lucky. I get to host a sports faith podcast with 2 of my best friends. So it feels like such a blessing. And we've been doing it for about 2 to 2.5 years now. And it's been so cool, Kelly, to see all the different guests that we've been able to have on. We've been fortunate to have just about every area of athletics come on to our show. So we've had coaches, we've had different administrators, we've had the sports chaplain, Corey, and then we've had athletes, male and female, just from about every sport on campus. And you mentioned a second ago, highlighting that we're more than just athletes.
Yeah.
On these episodes, we're asking these people about their story, about their upbringing, their background, asking about how the Lord has worked through their sport. And so our heart posture is, of course, welcoming me on, helping with the conversation, but really just letting them guide it, letting them tell their story, because at the end of the day, they know their story better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's been really humbling to see everyone from different backgrounds and to see how the Lord's worked. Each episode is different because it's everyone's individual story, yet the overarching, reoccurring theme is how the Lord's worked through sport and how he's continued to write their stories.
That's sweet. So how did you guys come about starting it? Did you guys like talk one day and you're like, hey, let's start a podcast?
Yeah.
Because I'd say it's a pretty popular. I was talking to Jamie Boggs about, I don't know how it's like, oh wait, no, maybe it was Professor Fortin. And I was like, yeah, Harper did a Super Bowl podcast. She was like, oh yeah, that's like a really popular podcast. And I was like, dude, you made it. It's like, you guys are big time. So let's go. That's funny. But yeah, how did you guys like come to start that together?
Yeah, it's funny to hear. Like, I don't know like how big it is. I truly don't know, but yeah, so you mentioned it, like it really was just a conversation. We were just having a Bible study during our sophomore year. So that would be about 2.5 years ago from now. And, you know, our stories, without getting into all the details, our stories really aligned well with how the Lord worked in our life and our upbringings. And it was similar to at the end of our freshman year, we felt like there was more in our faith. We felt a little empty in where we were in our own walks. And it was cool to see how the Lord worked in that summer from our freshman year to our sophomore year. And so as we're developing through sophomore year, we're seeing the Lord just call us, and we're seeing him develop us, mature us.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we feel like we can reach people our age. We feel like this is stuff that people our age need to hear.
Yeah.
And our heart with it at the beginning was, let's just do it for us.
Yeah.
And if the Lord wants it to do well, he will.
Yeah.
It's his will if that's the case. And so it's been really cool. We're approaching 1,000 subscribers, and they say that's the hardest 1,000 to make.
Is it
and then after that, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're not doing it for the numbers.
Yeah.
And it's been cool to see how he's matured us, grown us through it. And we've been able to look at it as like a ministry.
Yeah.
We've had people come on, share their stories, and we don't know exactly who it's impacting because it's all digital, it's all online. But we've had so many people reach out through email, through message, sometimes even calling us or seeing us on campus saying that we've encouraged them or impacted their walk.
That's gotta feel so good.
Yeah.
Just getting random calls about that.
Sure.
So was it, when you guys first started it, was it mainly for more so like faith over athletics?
Yeah.
Or was it more so you guys wanted to talk about athletics and faith happening to be part of it? Or is it like a perfect mix of both?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. And I don't know. Because
it just happened?
Because and kind of, again, like I was saying, the Lord really aligned our stories. Sports has been a reoccurring theme in all of our lives. And so it just happened to be that we're all big sports geeks. You know, we love sports, we love talking about it. I would say the underlying goal and emphasis, of course, is the faith, because that's what differentiates us from normal sports media.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say some episodes perhaps are a little more on the sports side. Some are a little bit more on the faith side. I don't think we really try to be more one than the other. Excuse me. We don't try to be more one than the other. We just let the Spirit guide the conversation. Sometimes it's covering more sports than faith, and vice versa.
Yeah. So with that, this is a tough question.
Sure.
Because there's no favorites. I don't know. This might not go anywhere. So I'm not trying to I don't know. No one might see this. But do you have a favorite person you guys have interviewed?
No, I can't do that. It's actually funny.
Give like a top.
I can give like
a top.
Yeah, I can give you like a starting lineup.
A starting lineup. Yeah. That's a good, because you can't pick favorites, but in no order. No order, so it's not.
Okay.
There's no like favoritism. Even just like a top cool 3 or
top. I'll do the starting lineup.
A starting
5.
lineup. Okay, starting 5.
It's actually funny because this is good because I almost every time ask our guest who their favorite teammate is.
Yeah.
And I put them on the spot.
So now you're
and so they never give me a straight answer. So this is fair. So yeah, I would say starting 5. First guy that comes to mind is Gabe McGoffin.
Yeah.
We've had him on twice.
Dog.
And just like hearing his character, seeing how the Lord's worked through his life, man, it was such a blessing to have him on, not once, but twice. Atu Ambala, my roommate, one of my best friends, he was our first ever guest.
President of SAC.
President of SAC, yeah.
We're
I was
making some ties. Destiny a little bit about that. Okay.
Yeah, making some ties there. He's one of my best friends, my roommate, my teammate, and he's the only Olympian we've ever had on.
Really?
He was our first ever guest.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Some other guests, Krista Rowan from beach volleyball.
Yeah.
She graduated last year, but she was the vice president of SAC and huge in athletics, huge name in athletics.
Yeah.
She was our first ever female guest.
Okay.
Thinking Coach Shaw. Oh my gosh.
Because that was recent.
That one
was
a
recent,
few months
right?
ago.
Okay, it was a few months ago. Okay,
It was a few months ago.
Clips from it.
Like fall of 2024.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is going to be filmed, but anyway. This is going to be cut.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, but he has such a heart for the Lord, so passionate, and the way that he encourages other believers was so cool. And he got to tell us a little bit about his upbringing and a little bit of how his story ties into Coach Drew, which was super cool because he's dating he's married.
Yeah,
he's married to Coach Drew's sister.
Yes.
So that was
because I knew they were family. Yeah, dating, but they're family. I knew they were family in some way.
Yeah, he told us like where they met on his recruiting trip, and he's like, it was awesome. I got to hang out with Coach Drew and his sister the whole weekend.
That's so funny.
So that was awesome. And then I'm thinking about the last one. Again, like it's like everyone's
good. There's no hard feelings.
Yeah. I guess to round out, like I would say I'm just gonna have to say it because it's the first one on my mind. Corey Tubbs.
Okay. Yeah.
Sports chaplain here, and I've been fortunate to have an awesome relationship with him the last few years. He's been a mentor for me, and when he came on, man, Killy, like me, Dorman, me, Brady, and David, the three guys that do the podcast, we were just so thankful and grateful for that conversation. We felt like we were all so impacted by it.
Yeah.
Just the words that he was sharing, the way in which he was sharing it, we felt the Lord really in that conversation. And of course, you know, you would expect it with a sports chaplain. Like that is literally our bread and butter, a guest to invite on. So that would be my, off the top of my head, starting five. I hate to leave so many people out. No hard feelings.
But all of them were great.
All of them are fantastic.
There's no hard feelings.
Yes.
That's awesome. So with the podcast, also I know that you're involved with helping out like youth swim club. Do you want to talk about that a little bit too?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate to have an NIL deal, strike an NIL deal this past year. And I work with the Arizona Dolphins, which is a local swim club here, local year-round swim club. They have 3 locations.
Okay.
I don't know where the third one is, but I mainly work in Anthem and Verrado.
Okay, so it's not where you guys swim at though, right?
No.
Okay,
no.
So you have to travel.
So I travel.
Yeah.
And you know, it's pretty low-key gig. My goal and my posture each time I go on deck is to add value wherever I can.
Yeah.
Whether that be instruction, whether that be coaching. Sometimes it's just developing relationships with the kids. And I've been really fortunate. My boss, Paul Root, he's gotten me connected with a lot of professionals in the Valley, and it's actually led to some speaking opportunities and some sports faith opportunities, which is, again, right up my alley, and I've been super fortunate for that.
Yeah. And then because you're from Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You also, didn't you work with the club back there as well? Or like you've had like the same group of kids that you've helped with swimming?
Yeah.
There?
So, I mean, again, it's like I love youth. I love youth ministry. I love youth sports. In fact, I look at youth sports as youth ministry.
Yeah.
Right? It never has to be formal ministry for it to be ministry. And so I've been fortunate to be the head coach of the same club where I actually started my swimming career. When I was about 4 to 6 years old, we mentioned earlier, that same club that started my career, I've been able to give back to that same community and be the head coach the last 3 years.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to do it again this summer.
Okay.
But it's been so awesome to give back and to pour into the next generation of swimmers there. I have about 180 kids.
That's crazy.
Not to myself.
But still, that is crazy. How many to yourself? Is it?
Well, like I'm the head coach.
Are you ages?
But we have multiple coaches and volunteers on staff.
Okay.
I could not do that on my own.
No,
it takes an army for that.
No.
But it's cool to pour into that many kids because you get overwhelmed when you hear that number.
Yeah.
But we have different age groups that go at a time, different practice schedules. And so it's really, you get to develop these relationships with kids from a variety of ages. And so it's cool to see how my relationship with the senior kids, with the high school kids, the senior boys and girls compared to the 8 and under boys and girls. And just seeing that contrast it's really beautiful.
So I know you said you were able to pour into them a lot, obviously, and build relationships.
Sure.
How would you say they pour into you, in a sense? Like, what do you learn from them?
Yeah.
Because it's got to be so much, but even like faith-wise or anything.
Of course. That is a fantastic question. I think one of the things that the Lord has really shaped my heart during the coaching that I've been fortunate to do is just as a shepherd would look as a sheep.
Yeah.
You know, it may be a swim coach and his athletes' roles, right? Those are the roles, but I very much look at them as my flock.
Yeah.
I very much look at tending and caring for each and every one of them because they're different. Every single one of them is different. They're unique individual selves, and it really take the whole sports thing out of it. This is just a way for bringing people together, loving them, and I've been fortunate through that job, through my different coaching platforms, to be able to share the gospel, to be able to share how the Lord's worked in my life. And I try my best to make it a digestible, approachable form of the gospel, because these kids, like, there's no need to push it down their throats.
Yeah.
They're still growing, they're developing. I know when I was growing up, like, it's not always easy to hear a passage from Exodus, you know? So I try my best to just share how the Lord's worked in my life, because they say your story is the most powerful. Yeah. And that's my posture there.
Yeah, no, that's beautifully put. That's actually that's really good. So we kind of talked about, like I said, the point of this show is to highlight athletes like outside of their athletics. And I asked Destiny the same question because of all she's involved with, but how would you feel with the podcast, with coaching, like NIL, that even kind of comes with your sport too, and then you're also a student, your master's. How would you say you've been able to balance all that? Or like what, I'm guessing a lot of it is like leaning on your Bible and like faith, but how would you say, what inspires you to keep going and like pushing through?
Yeah, great question. I think absolutely at the core is my faith. When I'm able to build on the foundation of the Lord, then of course it doesn't matter when things get crazy, when things get stressed. Yeah, it may be hard for a day or so in the moment, but I know the Lord's the one that sustains me. He's the one that provides the strength for me to be able to do all those things. So yeah, absolutely at the core, it's my faith and letting the Lord unravel what he has for my life. But yeah, it's having a great support system, having great friends to lean on. I'm thankful for the brothers and sisters that I have around me in my close circle that can lean on, I can do life with, right? And then I also feel like being part of different communities here on campus, right? Just because I'm pouring into them doesn't mean I don't get something out of it as myself. Like I think about my teammates, and I have teammates from all over the world, right? And it's so humbling. It is so amazing being able to hear their perspectives, the different cultures and upbringings they came from. And it's expanding, it's exposing my worldview. And I just have a greater appreciation for the things that I've been fortunate to have. And so I think perspective, gratitude, and people, like just having those things in my life, in my circle, those would absolutely be some of the first things I think of that allow me to do all that I'm fortunate to do.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks for kind of giving us a little dip into the Super Bowl podcast, and that's awesome, and even just helping out kids, and that's you can see a little bit more of, you're more than just student athlete, like you have a bunch of other things, so I'm really appreciative of that. And to wrap it up, we're gonna get into some quick questions, some rapid fire.
Oh boy.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. So we did this with Destiny. She wasn't as rapid with the firing.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
She took a little long, but I have faith in both of you.
Okay.
So start off, favorite food.
Favorite food, oh dear. I love all types of food, so I'm just gonna give like a cuisine. I'm gonna give, I love Mexican food.
Okay.
I just love Mexican food. I mean, all the different types. I feel like that's all different variations of the same thing, but man, you can't go wrong with Mexican.
Okay, so Mexican food, favorite candy?
I don't like candy.
Really?
I don't like candy.
You don't eat candy at all?
I would say like I don't eat the sugary candy. Like if I had to eat a candy, it would be like chocolate and peanut butter, so Reese's.
Okay.
That would be
Reese's would be a good.
I'm not a very like sweet tooth guy. I'm more of like rich dessert.
Okay, yeah.
So
Destiny said gum. So
that is a terrible answer.
That's a terrible answer.
There's so many better ones than that.
Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo. I'm just gonna do it to troll others.
How many unread messages do you have on your phone?
Oh man, if you ask any of my teammates, any of the people in my close circle, I am known for not being the greatest to respond quickly. I actually right now, before when I was waiting out there, I answered all my messages. Okay. So right now it's 0.
Okay.
But typically it's between like 20 and 30.
That's not even bad.
It's not that bad.
That's really not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Okay.
I'm in a lot of group chats too, so it's really not that big.
They add up quick.
It's not that big of it.
That's not that bad.
I don't have millions of people texting me.
Yeah. Do you know the last person you called?
Last person I called would be Atu.
Would be Atu?
Yeah, the guy I mentioned twice or 3 times now in the interview.
Yeah. Where, if you could pick one place, like financial, everything else is aside, where would you live? If you could pick one place.
Where would I live?
Where would you want to live?
Okay.
Like dream spot, like financial, everything is out the door. It's just anything, anywhere.
Yeah, I think Europe is definitely some of the first things I think of, some of the first locations I think of. And for some reason, I have always wanted to go to Croatia.
Really?
Croatia. It just, from all the photos and all the things I've heard from Croatia.
Do you have a lot of teammates from Croatia?
I've had one teammate.
Okay.
And she was a senior when I was a freshman. Okay. But the photos and the things she shared with me, it is beautiful.
Really?
And I would just love to go there. I don't know about living there, but I mean, I would love to go there. So that's one of the first places I think of.
Yeah.
Also, Australia would be so cool.
Australia would be really cool.
So, Australia would be so dope.
That would be really cool.
So those are some of the places I think of.
Okay, perfect. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
sunset all day.
I mean, I love a sunrise, don't get me wrong. In fact, we see it every morning at practice. But sunset, you can't beat it because think about it, you often share a sunset with more people than you do a sunrise.
That's a good way to
Not
put it.
many people are willing to wake up,
Yeah.
you know, and I think a West Coast sunset is better than an East Coast sunrise.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
I love, that's deep,
and I've been able to see both. So.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. What's the best sports memory you've had?
Oh, man.
I know this isn't really a quick question. This is a toughie.
This is a tough one. I would say when I look back and think about all my favorite sports memories, the common denominator is with my teammates, right? Like, of course, the performance and the results, they matter, of course, but right off the bat, I think about back in December, a little bit before Christmas this past season, when we won our mid-season invitational at the University of Purdue.
Yeah.
We came into the meet. They were the number 19 men's swim team in the country and number 2 diving team in the country.
Wow.
So we had a pretty big matchup, and they invited us to their own invitational, and we ended up beating them.
Wow.
And so being able to share that few days, it's a 3-day invitational, being able to share and go through that with 30 of my best friends, my brothers that I would call that I get to do life with each and every day. Just thinking, like, whenever we heard the results at the end, we went crazy.
Oh
we
my
took
gosh.
so many fun.
Was it like a close spot?
Yeah.
It was like down to the wire.
I mean, they were a tough team, and we knew that we were going to have to swim and dive lights out, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like the pieces that we had on the team this year, the chemistry, the team DNA that I like to say, the team DNA.
That's a good one.
It just it was a perfect recipe for success.
Yeah.
And we went in there and we swam lights out. People didn't expect us to do it, and just being able to share that moment with them, riding that momentum back to the hotel, to the travel day the next day, and really ever since.
Yeah.
So.
Let's go. Sweet. Well, Harper, that's all questions I got. Thank you so much for being the official second guest of the podcast of Thunder Talk, or the show Thunder Talk. Appreciate it, and best of luck as you're graduating soon and masters. And thanks for joining. But yeah, it's the second episode, so see you on the next one.
Hopes up. You gotta put them up.